I want you to pause for a moment and look at where you are in life, not with judgment, but with honesty. So many of us wait for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or for someone else to believe in us before we decide to take a single step forward. But what if I told you that the change you're waiting for isn't out there, it's within you, and it begins the moment you choose to invest in yourself, not tomorrow, not when everything falls into place. Today, you see, we often think investment only means money, but the most powerful investment is in your mindset, your growth, your peace, your healing, and your voice. Start by giving yourself permission to be more. Learn a new skill, say no when it matters, wake up 10 minutes earlier just to breathe and be present with yourself. These small choices, these tiny moments of self-belief, they become the foundation of an entirely different life. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a big plan. What you need is the courage to begin even when you're scared, especially when you're scared, because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. You are the hero you've been waiting for. Your mindset is your greatest asset. Train it daily. The way you think shapes the way you live. It determines how you respond to challenges, how you perceive yourself, and how you handle both success and failure. Everything starts in the mind. If you believe you are not enough, that belief will filter into every decision you make, every risk you don't take, and every opportunity you allow to slip by. But if you train your mind to see possibility where others see limits, to see growth where others see failure, then even your setbacks will serve you. We are taught to focus on external things: money, titles, validation, appearances. Yet what we aren't told is that all of these things are fleeting unless you have the inner foundation to sustain them. You can gain success quickly, but without the right mindset, you will sabotage it. You can have a great relationship, but if your mind is clouded with insecurity, fear, or resentment, it won't last. You can have opportunities knocking at your door, but if you don't believe you're worthy, you won't answer. This is why mindset matters more than anything else. It is the lens through which you experience life. If that lens is cracked, distorted, or dirty, everything you see will reflect that. Train it daily, just like you would train a muscle. And just like physical training, mental training isn't glamorous. It means waking up and choosing growth, even when it hurts. It means facing uncomfortable truths about yourself. It means letting go of what's familiar but destructive, and stepping into the unknown simply because you know there's more. People think changing your life means changing your job, your partner, or your city. But real change doesn't start on the outside. It begins within. That inner shift only happens when you begin to consciously reprogram your thoughts. Start with how you speak to yourself. When you make a mistake, do you call yourself a failure, or do you recognize the lesson and move forward with compassion? When life gets hard, do you spiral into hopelessness, or do you find the strength to stay grounded in gratitude? The way you respond internally determines what happens externally, and the best part is, it's completely in your control. Your circumstances may not be, but your perspective always is. Every single day is a new chance to condition your mindset. It's not something you fix once and it stays perfect. Just like your body, your mind needs daily care. If you neglect it, it weakens. If you feed it negativity, it decays. But if you give it discipline, perspective, and resilience, it becomes unstoppable. You don't become mentally strong overnight. You become mentally strong every time you get back up after falling, every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you silence the voice that says I can't, and replace it with I will try. There will be days when your thoughts will try to drag you backwards, days when fear, doubt, and comparison will whisper lies to your heart. That's exactly when you need your mindset training the most. Just like a boxer doesn't prepare during the fight, you can't wait until life breaks you to decide to build inner strength. You prepare every single day through books, through journaling, through gratitude, through silence, through self-reflection. It's a daily commitment to rise above your past, your pain, and your limiting beliefs. You don't need a mentor to start. You don't need therapy right away. And you definitely don't need perfect conditions. You just need awareness. You need to catch your own negative thoughts. Catch them when they creep in quietly and tell you that you aren't ready. Catch them when they make you second. Guess your path, and when you do, replace them. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Uplift your inner voice. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. The world is already loud and harsh. Don't let your own mind become your enemy. This kind of mindset training isn't easy, but it's necessary. Because the world doesn't hand power to the most talented. It gives it to the most mentally prepared. You may not have control over what happens to you, but you have complete control over how you frame it. Do you see it as punishment, or do you see it as preparation? Do you label it as failure or as fuel? The answer to those questions determines your future. Your mind creates your reality, and once you realize that, you stop waiting for the world to change and start building a world within yourself that no one can take away. Small daily habits compound into life, changing results. It's not the giant, dramatic shifts that transform your life. It's the quiet, consistent choices you make every single day when no one is watching. We often underestimate the power of small actions because they don't deliver instant results. But just like a single drop of water can carve through stone over time, your daily habits shape the direction and quality of your life in ways you can't even see until you look back. You don't need to completely reinvent yourself overnight. What you need is to take one small step in the right direction, and then repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Wake up 10 minutes earlier and read something that challenges your thinking. Write down your thoughts before bed, drink more water, say no to the things that drain your energy. These things may seem too simple to matter, but they are building blocks for who you are becoming. You are either building a better version of yourself or reinforcing the same patterns that have held you back. Change doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to look like quitting your job or moving to a new country. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to react when you're triggered. It looks like turning off your phone and being present. It looks like choosing a nourishing meal instead of something that numbs you. These are small things, but they require awareness and discipline. The way you do one thing becomes the way you do everything. So if you start showing up for yourself in small moments, eventually you build a life where showing up becomes second nature. There's a reason why so many people stay stuck. It's because they only act when they're motivated. But habits don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. They rely on discipline. Motivation will fade, but the system you put in place for yourself will carry you through the days when your energy is low and your mind is tired. And every time you follow through with a habit, you send a message to your subconscious: I can trust myself. That self-trust is the foundation of confidence, and confidence is the fuel for momentum. You are planting seeds with every decision you make. The problem is, most people quit before they see the harvest. They go to the gym for a week, don't see results, and stop. They meditate a few times, don't feel calmer, and give up. But transformation doesn't come to the impatient. It comes to those who stay the course, who believe in the power of slow, steady effort. Even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because something is happening, you are changing. You are building new neural pathways. You are rewiring your brain. You are reshaping your identity. And that's the real goal. Not just changing what you do, but changing how you see yourself. A person who writes daily begins to see themselves as a writer. A person who moves their body every day begins to see themselves as someone who values health. Your habits become your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. This is why the small things matter so much, because behind every small action is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. People often say they want to change their life, but they wait for the perfect time to start. They wait for the new year, for the next Monday, for a fresh month. But the truth is, your life is happening right now in this very moment. Every choice you make today is either aligning with your future self or pulling you further away from it. There is no right time. There is only now, and the now is where all your power lies. Habits are not about restriction or punishment. They are about alignment, aligning your actions with your values, aligning your time with your priorities, aligning your energy with your vision. It's not always easy, but it becomes easier when you focus on the process rather than the result. When you fall in love with the discipline, the results take care of themselves. You don't have to rush. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Think of a tree growing underground before it ever breaks the surface. Think of a sculptor chipping away at stone before the shape becomes clear. That's what you're doing with your daily habits. You're sculpting your life, little by little, until one day you look around and realize you've become someone you once only dreamed of being. Self-education is a lifelong investment with the highest return. It is the one form of growth that cannot be taken away from you, no matter where life leads. The world around you may change, circumstances may shift, but what you put into your mind remains. It shapes the way you think, the way you solve problems, and the way you navigate uncertainty. When you choose to educate yourself, whether through books, conversations, failures, or curiosity, you take ownership of your growth. You stop waiting for someone else to teach you what you need and begin to trust that you can learn anything, anytime, anywhere. We often associate education with classrooms, degrees, and institutions. But true education doesn't stop when you leave school. In fact, that's when it should begin. Life becomes your teacher. Every challenge, every interaction, every decision is a lesson if you're paying attention. And when you approach life with the mindset of a student, you remain open to change. You don't see mistakes as a reflection of your worth. You see them as feedback. You don't avoid hard conversations. You seek them, knowing that wisdom is often found in discomfort. You start asking better questions. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from here? What is this experience trying to teach me? The beauty of self-education is that it is deeply personal. You choose what you learn, how you learn it, and at what pace. You're not bound by a syllabus or a system. You are free to follow your curiosity, your needs, and your dreams. That freedom is powerful, but it also comes with responsibility. You must hold yourself accountable. You must be willing to sit with complex ideas, to unlearn what no longer serves you, and to replace convenience with depth. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. The most successful people in any field share one common trait. They are committed learners. They read, they listen, they reflect. They seek out people who challenge their thinking rather than validate their ego. They ask for feedback. They invest in coaches, courses, and mentors not because they are not good enough, but because they know they can always be better. That mindset creates momentum. The more you learn, the more capable you feel, and the more capable you feel, the more confident you become. Confidence built on competence is unshakable. There is no limit to what you can learn when you make it a daily practice. Imagine if you read just 10 pages a day. That's over 0 pages a year. Imagine if you spent 15 minutes each morning listening to a podcast or taking an online course. That's nearly 100 hours of learning annually. These small daily choices, when repeated over time, completely reshape the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you lead your life. The excuses that once held you back begin to fade because you realize that knowledge is accessible, affordable, and always within reach. Self-education also strengthens your resilience. When you teach yourself how to adapt, how to research, how to think critically, you no longer fear uncertainty. You develop a mindset that says, I may not know how yet, but I can figure it out. That one belief alone can change everything. It moves you from helplessness to empowerment, from confusion to clarity, from hesitation to action. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you started. What matters is your willingness to learn and your commitment to keep learning, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. It's not just about consuming information. It's about applying it. Read a book, then implement the ideas. Take a course, then teach someone else what you've learned. Watch a documentary, then reflect on how it relates to your own journey. Turn learning into action and watch how quickly you grow. When you make this a way of life, you start to build a foundation of wisdom that carries you through every season, every goal, every challenge. You don't have to know everything. You just have to stay teachable. Stay curious, stay hungry for growth. Let learning be your anchor and your compass. When you do that, no setback can break you, no obstacle can hold you for long, and no dream will feel too far away. Because you will know, deep down, that you are becoming the kind of person who is prepared for whatever life has to offer. Surround yourself with people who reflect your future, not your past. The people in your life shape the way you think, feel, and grow more than you realize. You absorb their energy, their habits, their beliefs, and their mindset. If you constantly spend time with those who dwell in fear, who resist growth, who talk about problems but never seek solutions, you begin to mirror that same energy, even when you don't intend to. But when you choose to surround yourself with people who speak about ideas, who are intentional about their life, who push through adversity and move with purpose, you rise to meet that level. Relationships are either elevators or anchors. They either lift you or weigh you down. Sometimes we hold on to people simply because they've been around for a long time, not realizing that familiarity isn't the same as alignment. Just because someone shared your past doesn't mean they deserve to be part of your future. Growth requires a conscious choice to let go of what no longer serves your vision, and often the hardest thing to outgrow isn't a bad habit. It's a comfortable circle, but you cannot grow in a space that doesn't challenge you. You cannot become more if you keep surrounding yourself with those who fear change. It's not about arrogance, and it's not about cutting people off coldly. It's about honoring your journey and being mindful of the energy you allow into your space. When you're building something different with your life, a new mindset, a new path, a new standard, you need support, not sabotage. You need people who will remind you who you are when you forget. People who will speak to your potential, not your limitation. People who clap for your wins and challenge your excuses. The right community is not just important, it's essential. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with those who read, reflect, and take responsibility for their lives, you will begin to do the same. If your circle celebrates discipline, growth, and honesty, you will find it easier to live with those values. But if your environment thrives on gossip, negativity, and comfort zones, it will slowly drain you of the strength you need to move forward. Environment matters. Energy is contagious. Mindset spreads. Sometimes the loneliness you feel isn't because you're broken or unlovable. It's because your soul is calling you to a higher frequency, and you haven't found your tribe yet. Don't fear that space. That in-between where the old no longer fits and the new hasn't fully arrived is where real growth happens. It's where you become strong enough to stand on your own until the right people find you, or you find them. You don't have to rush it, but you do have to be intentional. Start by being the kind of person you want to attract, embody the values you admire, live the life you talk about. When you do, you'll start attracting those who are aligned with that energy. Your future deserves relationships that reflect it. Friends who inspire you, mentors who challenge you, partners who believe in you, and communities that grow with you. These people may not come from your past. They may not look like who you thought they'd be, but they will feel like home in the sense that they remind you of your purpose. They will speak life into your dreams, even when they sound crazy. They will hold you accountable with love and push you when you want to quit. These are not just relationships. They are lifelines. You are not meant to do this journey alone, but you are meant to choose who walks beside you. You are allowed to redefine what connection means. You are allowed to distance yourself from anyone who diminishes your light, even if they've known you the longest. Your loyalty should be to your growth, not your history. It takes courage to walk away from what's familiar. But it takes even more courage to believe that something better is out there, and to go find it. When you change your environment, you change your beliefs. When you hear different conversations, you start thinking differently. When you're surrounded by people who stretch you, who refuse to let you settle, You grow in ways you never imagined. You become more honest, more focused, more alive. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable and start standing in your truth, fully and unapologetically. You stop asking for permission and start giving yourself space to expand. That's what the right circle does. It doesn't just support you, it transforms you. Prioritize your mental and emotional well-being before anything else. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of success, chasing goals, achievements, and approval from the world. But if you are not okay on the inside, nothing you achieve will bring lasting peace. We often wear our busyness like a badge of honor, running on empty and calling it productivity, ignoring the silent screams of exhaustion, loneliness, anxiety, and burnout. But no external reward can ever compensate for the internal cost of neglecting your well-being. Your mind and emotions are the foundation of every area of your life. Your relationships, your work, your creativity, your confidence. If that foundation is unstable, everything built on top of it becomes shaky. You cannot pour from an empty cup, yet so many people try. They try to love others while abandoning themselves. They try to lead others while being disconnected from their own truth. They try to create a meaningful life while ignoring their inner pain. The truth is, healing isn't selfish. Rest isn't laziness. Boundaries aren't rude. These are the essentials. These are the acts of courage we must learn to practice every single day. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to slow down when the world tells you to hustle. Because real strength is not about pushing through everything with a smile. It's about knowing when to pause, when to breathe, when to ask for help. It's about knowing your limits and respecting them. Mental and emotional health doesn't just happen. It's something you create intentionally through your choices, your habits, your environment, and your inner dialogue. Start paying attention to the way you speak to yourself. Would you say those same things to someone you love? If not, then it's time to change the narrative. Your inner voice sets the tone for your life. If that voice is harsh, critical, or unforgiving, you will live in a constant state of fear and self-doubt. But if that voice is kind, compassionate, and honest, you begin to feel safe within yourself, and that is where true growth begins. Safety within allows you to take risks, to heal, to forgive, and to evolve. Your emotions are not weaknesses to be controlled. They are signals to be heard. When you feel anxious, your body is trying to tell you something. When you feel angry, it's pointing to an unmet need. When you feel numb, it may be protecting you from overwhelm. Listen, reflect, give yourself space to feel without judgment. Emotional awareness is a superpower in a world that teaches you to suppress and perform. The more you understand yourself, the more gracefully you can navigate challenges. The more you tend to your inner world, the less reactive and chaotic your outer world becomes. Sometimes healing looks like crying for no reason. Sometimes it looks like unfollowing people who trigger comparison. Sometimes it looks like taking a break from everything so you can remember who you are. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your peace. You don't have to keep proving your worth through suffering. Your rest is not a reward. It's a right. Your joy is not a distraction. It's a need, and your well-being is not optional. It's the core of everything that matters. Begin to create emotional routines, just like you do physical or professional ones. Start your day with stillness. Reflect at the end of the day. Journal what you feel, not just what you did. Celebrate how far you've come emotionally, not just what you've accomplished externally. Emotional intelligence is not about being unaffected by life. It's about being deeply aware of your feelings and learning how to respond rather than react. That level of self-awareness builds resilience. It allows you to show up in the world with clarity, grace, and confidence. Your mental health is not a destination. It's a daily practice. Some days will feel heavy. Some days will feel light. But every day, you have the chance to choose yourself. To check in, to honor your boundaries, to take a walk when the stress is too loud, to say what you need without apology, to rest, recharge, and return to life from a place of wholeness. This is how you build a life that doesn't just look good from the outside, but actually feels good on the inside. A life where your success is sustainable, your relationships are meaningful, and your peace is non-negotiable. Start before you're ready. Clarity comes through action. So many dreams are buried under the weight of overthinking, waiting, and the illusion of needing to feel completely prepared before taking the first step. But the truth is, if you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever. Readiness is not a feeling that magically arrives. It's something you earn by moving forward in uncertainty. The path doesn't light up before you start walking. It lights up asterisk because asterisk you start walking. We often want guarantees. We want to know we won't fail, that we'll be good at something from day one, that the timing is perfect, that the outcome is certain. But growth doesn't happen in safe zone. It happens in the messy middle, where doubt, fear, and progress all coexist. Every person who ever achieved anything meaningful began when they felt unsure. They stumbled, they adjusted, they kept going. They learned by doing, and so will you. Action builds clarity. Each time you try something, you learn what works and what doesn't. Each time you step forward, you gather data about who you are, what you want, and what you're capable of. The insight you gain through doing cannot be replaced by thinking. You can plan all day, but real transformation happens in motion. It's in the attempt, the conversation, the small risk, the first post, the imperfect start. It's when you step outside your head and into the world with whatever you've got. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to explore. You can figure things out as you go. In fact, that's often the only way to figure them out. Clarity isn't a prerequisite for action, it's a reward for it. The first draft of your dream won't be perfect. The first version of your vision will probably be uncomfortable and uncertain, but that's okay. You're not meant to be flawless, you're meant to be in process, and there is power in embracing the process even when it feels incomplete. Fear will always try to convince you to pause. It will tell you that you need more experience, more confidence, more validation. But what you really need is movement. Every step forward chips away at fear's grip. Every small win proves to your brain that you are capable. Courage is built in motion, and once you take that first step, momentum begins to build. With momentum, your fear shrinks, your confidence grows, and your vision starts becoming real. Too many people wait for permission. They wait for a title, a degree, or someone else's approval to begin. But your life belongs to you. No one else can give you permission to live it fully. You don't need to have everything figured out to be worthy of starting. You are already enough to begin, and beginning doesn't mean having it all together. It means choosing to show up anyway. With shaky hands, with limited resources, with fear in your chest, you show up because your dream matters more than your doubt. There will be people who won't understand your journey, who will question your decisions, who will think you're foolish for trying. That's okay. Their doubts don't define your limits. Their opinions are not your reality. You're not here to live someone else's story. You're here to live your own, and that story only unfolds when you move forward, one step at a time, trusting that the road will appear beneath your feet. It doesn't matter if your voice shakes when you speak. What matters is that you speak. It doesn't matter if your hands tremble when you take that first step. What matters is that you move. Progress is messy. It's awkward and humbling and sometimes lonely, but it's also where you discover your strength, your passion, and your resilience. You'll make mistakes, of course, but those mistakes will teach you more than any theory ever could. You don't have to feel confident to take action. Action is what builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from evidence. Every time you follow through, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you do something hard and realize you survived it, you gather proof. Proof that you're stronger than you thought. Proof that you can learn along the way. Proof that you are capable of more than you believed. Waiting for the perfect time robs you of growth. It keeps you stuck in planning mode, in dreaming mode, in preparation mode. The truth is, you learn the most by doing. By starting, by saying yes when you're scared, by launching the thing, having the conversation, taking the leap. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. Now is the opportunity to show up imperfectly but fully. Now is when you start creating the life you've been waiting for.